Hi friends, this is Julie Tillman and I'm so glad you're joining me today for some crafty fun. If you like what you see, be sure to subscribe, like, and ring that bell for notifications. Today I'm participating in a spooky fun collab hop with a few of my crafty friends. I'll be making this fantastic Coffin shaker card. The products I'm using today are from Jaded Blossom. They are the Boo Crew stamp set, Batty for You and Boo Crew outline dies to cut out my little vampire. The Gnome Dies Halloween add-ons, I'll be using the little bat from this set, the Card Mat dies, and the Coffin die. We'll be creating our background with both Distress ink and Distress Oxide inks in Candied Apple, Lumberjack Plaid, Aged Mahogany, and Black Soot. I always like to add a little splatter to my cards, and today we'll be doing that with Bombay India ink in Bright Red and Crimson. We'll also be using a little Distress Microglaze and a few sequins for our shaker card. All right, let's get started. I'm starting out by placing that vampire stamp from the Boo Crew stamp set onto my Misty and stamping with Memento alcohol safe ink. I'll be coloring today with Copic markers, and I had planned on sharing my coloring process with you, but my video camera was not cooperating and I got some really flashy lights. So we're just gonna go on with the magic of television, and I have an already colored image and I am cutting that out with the Boo Crew outlines dies. So now that my image is ready, we're going to go start our background. And I am starting out with Distress inks in, that is the Candied Apple. And I like to use both Distress ink and Distress Oxides when I'm doing my blending. It's a personal preference. I like, there's some properties of both that I like, and I think the layering really adds a lot of depth when you have the difference of the two inks. So I'll just be going in with a big part of Candied Apple, and then around the edges with the Lumberjack Plaid, and then a little further out with the Aged Mahogany. And you can do this with Distress Oxides on the bottom or Distress ink on the top, or vice versa. I usually do the Distress ink on the bottom because if you're mixing the two inks, it can contaminate your ink pads. So I just do my Distress inking first and then my oxides. So now I'm just going in with that Aged Mahogany out on the outer edges. And I'm speeding up a little bit now because it's kind of a very repetitive process. Ink blending is about layers. So now that I got that first layer on, I'm just spritzing on some water and drying that with my heat gun and blotting with a paper towel. And now I'm going in with the oxide inks in the same order from light to dark. And these inks have definitely a lot more vibrancy, and so they fill your paper a lot faster. So it's just really important when you're blending to go back and forth between the lighter and darker colors, just to like keep blending out that shift in colors. And now I'm bringing in a bit of that black soot around the edges. I just want it to be kind of like a little frame, and I'm softening those edges by going back around with my order of colors. And just put those lids on and do a little spritzing. I was thinking when I was doing this looks a little murdery with all the red and black, but it's a Halloween card. It's spooky, right? Anyways, I'm just blotting that off and drying And then I'll go back in again with another layer of things. This will be a good time to tell you about the hop that I'm in. If you'd like to check out all of the spooky fun videos my crafty friends and I are sharing today, click on the hashtag Crafty Fun Spooky Fun Collaboration Hop. It's in our video title. If for some reason that doesn't bring up all the videos, open up the description box below and you'll see links to all the videos in the hop. It's a pretty short hop, but we would love for you to visit each of the videos and give us a like and a shout out if you like what you see. And definitely, I'm sure my friends would appreciate it if you like what you see, if you would subscribe to their channels. The hop is not sponsored. It's not a giveaway. It's just a few friends bringing a little spooky inspiration your way as we lead into the Halloween season. Okay, so now I am bringing out those Bombay India inks. And these are inks that are movable when they're wet, but they are permanent when they're dry. So I like to use them a lot over my backgrounds. And I just really liked those colors. Now I'm using the Distress Micro Glaze, and I think this really brings out the vibrancy of the Distress Oxide and kind of takes away that chalky look that it gives. It just it's just magic. So I really like to do that over my oxide inks. And now I'm just adding a little bit more framing with that black. And now I'll be bringing in the Coffin die. It actually makes a Coffin gift box, which is so cute. But today we are just using the mat, the coffin shaped mat. And I cut that from the center of my cardstock, and now I'm lining it up in my MISTI so that I can place that coffin piece directly in the center. And I'm just using some liquid adhesive to place that in, and then I will remove that frame. And now I'm going to cut that background piece with the card mat die, just so that it has a little stitching and finishing. And I'm making sure it lines up there on my card base. And now it is time to add the sentiment. So I used my anti-static powder tool there. You're going to really want to make sure this is dry before you put your embossing powder on it. So just give it a good a good time to dry, or just test it out with your powder to see if it's dry. Here I am stamping with VersaFine Clear ink, and then I am going to emboss with a clear detail embossing powder. Sentiments, like I always emboss with a fine detail, just so that they can keep that true look. So there's the magic of embossing that we all love and has brought us into this stamping hobby. I added a little piece of acetate on the back of that shaker and some foam tape to pop up the whole front for my shaker. And then I'm adding a little custom mix of sequins and clay embellishments that I had in my stash, and just gluing that down. And there's my little gnome. He's looking cute, and he's gonna fit right there underneath the sentiment on the side of the coffin. Next up, it's time for that cute little bat from the Gnome Dies Halloween add-ons. And I just cut those out and I put them on a piece of mint tape to keep them in place while I colored them. And now I'm just gluing the pieces together, and I'm going to fold up those little wings so they pop up a little bit. And figure out where I want to put it on the card. I thought he needed a little bit of a cuteness, because I'm not into super spooky, so I added a cute little smile for him. And now I'm just throwing some of those sequins and clay embellishments around the edges for some accent around the card, and I'm going to add those with some glossy accents. And once those are on, I'm going to finish off by placing that little bat, and I'm going to use a glazed black pen to highlight his eyes and the eyes on the little bitty bat. And that's our finished card. Thanks so much for stopping by today. Be sure and check out all the other videos on the hop, and I'll see you next time.